Motorola has made a name for itself in the foldable market, and their new flip phone is here, the Razr 50 Ultra. What sorts of new goodies do we get this time around? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our Moto Razr 50 Ultra review. The Razr 50 Ultra is a flip-style foldable. That means that while folded, it has a compact clamshell form factor, which unfolds into a typical size smartphone. Compared to the Razr 40 Ultra, there are quite a few improvements here. Now we have an improved cover screen, proper water protection, faster charging, and revamped cameras. Like last year, the Razr 50 Ultra's cover screen takes up a large part of the backside. Other than that, the rest is covered in vegan leather, which adds some nice texture. The frame of the phone is made from 7000 series aluminum, but the glossy hinge cover is made from stainless steel. Overall, the Razr 50 Ultra is grippy, stylish, and feels great in your hand. Plus, the Razr 50 Ultra brings water protection, rated at IPX8. And the hinge has been further improved in this generation to be smaller and more compact. While the phone is open, the crease is quite minimal. It's hard to notice unless it catches light, and is flat. If you're not pressing down on it, you can't even feel it. And the phone can again stay open at all sorts of angles, useful for something like vlogging. While the phone is open, you reveal the main display. It's a 6.9-inch foldable LTPO OLED with a 1080p resolution and 165Hz refresh rate. The cover display is also an LTPO OLED with the same refresh rate, and it's larger than last year's at 4 inches. It has a 1080p resolution and Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection. Moto has matched the two displays when it comes to max brightness. We measured up to around 540 nits on either one with the manual slider, which can boost to over 1250 nits in auto mode when in bright conditions, but you'll need to open the phone in order to enable auto brightness mode on the cover screen. While both panels are 165Hz, the only time the displays used that was within certain benchmarks, or when the refresh rate was forced via the gaming settings. Otherwise, the screens will max out at 120Hz, which still makes swiping and scrolling quite smooth. And because of the LTPO tech on both displays, the refresh rate can dial down to 1 Hz when idling to save energy. Besides the foldable tech, size, and aspect ratio, both screens are really quite similar. They have comparable sharpness, plus they both support 10-bit color, HDR10 Plus video, and Dolby Vision. For some reason, if you're going between the two screens while playing back video, you lose the ability to fit the video to screen on the inner one. But in general, switching between the screens is relatively seamless. Besides video playback, the functionality of the cover screen is a lot more than on some competitors. There are several pages through which you can access supported apps, a calendar, weather, and widgets. Like on the inner screen, swiping down gives access to quick toggles, and swiping up opens a task switcher. And to save space on the cover screen, there's a shortcut you can use to access your notifications. You don't get support for all apps natively, but still several run here. Google Photos is newly supported, and there's Gmail and Google Maps. And there are other apps which can work here as well, but only in widget form. And the Google Gemini app is accessible right there on the cover display, for AI on the fly. For audio, the Razr 50 Ultra has a pair of stereo speakers. They earned an excellent mark on our loudness test, and the sound quality is great, with good sounding vocals, well-presented highs, and enough bass. And you can wake up and unlock the phone using the side-mounted fingerprint reader. It's built into the power button, and is fast and responsive. The phone comes with 256 or 512 gigs of UFS 4.0 storage on board, and that's not expandable through microSD. The Razr 50 Ultra runs Motorola's new Hello UI on top of Android 14. It's similar to stock Android, but with some customizations added in. These additional features can be found organized within the Moto app, which has been restyled for Hello UI. These include things like customization options and gestures. You again get the nice dynamic wallpapers. These are made to animate when you flex the phone. And now you can create AI-generated wallpapers too. There is support for advanced connectivity here. Nowadays, Motorola calls it Smart Connect instead of Ready For. Through this, you can connect to a PC or an external monitor. We're not sure yet how much software support the Razr will get, but for other recent phones, Motorola promised 3 years of OS updates and 4 years of security patches, so we should expect similar treatment here. The chipset of the Razr 50 Ultra is a Snapdragon 8S Gen 3. It isn't the top-tier chip from Qualcomm, but it still provides flagship-grade performance. In benchmarks, the Razr 50 Ultra showed a modest improvement over the 40 Ultra, which ran on a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. But last year's Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5, which has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, still comes out ahead. Regardless, the Razr 50 Ultra packs plenty of power. It's more than enough for smooth multitasking and heavy gaming. With these small foldable devices, we usually see poor thermal management due to the form factor, and as expected, the Razr 50 Ultra doesn't exactly shine here. There was significant thermal throttling to the tune of around 50% during our prolonged stress tests. The battery capacity has been increased this year from 3,800 mAh to 4,000. The Razr 50 Ultra was able to score a very good active use score of 12 hours and 5 minutes. This amounts to about 22 hours on voice calls, over 10 hours on web browsing, over 15 hours on video streaming, or about 8 hours of gaming. The phone ships with a 68-watt charger, but only supports up to 45-watt charging. Still, it's an improvement over the 30 watts of last year. With this adapter, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 78% in half an hour, and a full charge took 47 minutes. There's also support for 15-watt wireless charging. Finally, we're onto the cameras. There's a 50-megapixel main cam on the back, paired with a 50-megapixel 2x telephoto cam. Yes, there is no ultra-wide here. The main cam is an upgrade over last year's, and it's nice to have a dedicated zoom, but some people might miss the ultra-wide perspective. During the day, the main cam's photos come out quite good. They have accurate exposures and a wide dynamic range, but also a great contrast. Detail is good too, and while this isn't the most natural rendition out there, it's not too artificial looking either. Colors are well saturated, though in some outdoor scenes the white balance was a little off. In low light, the Razr's main camera takes very good photos for the class. They have nicely balanced exposures, with both bright enough shadows and preserved highlights. Colors maintain their saturation well too. The detail can occasionally have a heavily sharpened look, but it's not too bad. 4K videos out of the main camera again have a bit warmish white balance like the stills. The color saturation is just right though, and dynamic range and contrast don't leave us wanting. The detail could be better though, there is a general softness. Electronic stabilization irons things out, but the results aren't the smoothest we've seen. There is still a bit of shake left over from walking. Low light videos taken on the main camera aren't without flaws, but they're still solid. There's some noise, but there's good detail as well, and the dynamic range and color rendition are both respectable. Now we have the telephoto camera. Its 2x zoomed shots are plenty sharp, with very good detail. The colors are just as vibrant as the main cameras, though the white balance seems to be more often on point. You can also do a 4x zoom, and the results are decent. The detail isn't pin sharp, but it's still okay. In low light, the telephoto cam delivers pretty good detail. Dynamic range is also very good, with again a balanced approach. The white balance can sometimes be off when it comes to warm streetlights, but otherwise it's solid. Zoomed 4K videos have great detail for the class. The white balance is more on the mark than the main camera, though it's still a little bit off. One of the draws of a foldable phone is that you can use the secondary screen as a viewfinder, so you can snap selfies with the rear cameras. Selfies taken with the main cam have a nice close framing, and natural separation from the background thanks to a shallower depth of field. Detail is good, and you have nice looking skin tones and lively colors. However, if you're shooting this way, there isn't a toggle on the cover screen to access the telephoto camera. There's also a dedicated 32-megapixel selfie camera embedded within the inner screen. Selfies snapped with this camera are of course lower quality than the main cam, and you're missing the autofocus, but the results still aren't half bad. So that's the Moto Razr 50 Ultra. It's an excellent flip phone that improves in plenty of ways over its predecessor. The biggest changes you'd notice are probably the better battery life, the faster charging, and the nicer camera quality. Plus, when it comes to downsides, there's not much to speak of here. The thermal management is worse than other flagships, but that's typical for a flip phone. Overall, the Razr 50 Ultra is a well-rounded and well-crafted device, and if you're looking for a modern flip foldable, it deserves a recommendation. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're looking for alternatives, you can check out our reviews of the Moto Razr 40 Ultra and the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.